I never thought I would actually do this, but if you're watching this today, this is your lucky day. Because I'm going to show you a glimpse of what an actual private call crew recording looks like with some of my one-on-one clients. This is the exact program where we took average clothing brands to industry leaders in every single niche and verticals you can think of, all scaling past from 0 all the way to 50K a month. Specific brands that you may know that we work with: Flower, Pluto Golf, Society, Anna Michon, St. P, and many more. In this course specifically, I break down how to actually build an irresistible offer for your clothing brand. And so many brand owners think offers are just discounts, is cheap shit, but it's so misunderstood. Literally though, a winning offer is literally the difference between a 10K a month clothing brand all the way to a 100K a month clothing brand. So if you understand how to build an actual irresistible offer in your clothing brand niche, you're going to be far ahead of the rest of your competition. I have never released this type of style publicly before, especially a private group call recording. This is going to be the first time ever. I'm giving you a glimpse of what it actually looks like, so enjoy and most importantly, get some value out of this.
Cool. All right, offers and BFCM, which obviously Black Friday, Cyber Monday, they go hand on hand together. And the reason why Black Friday is so important for, not just clothing brands, but for every e-commerce brand is because people just have their wallet out. It's holiday season, right? So it becomes more competitive, right? And how brands and the reason why this sort of became a thing where it's like everybody goes crazy in Q4 is, number one, people have their wallet out. They want to buy gifts. They're in the spending. It's holidays. Everyone feels it. And due to that reason, everybody's trying to beat everybody with offers, right? So obviously, with that being said, your advertising costs, if you probably look at your ad account, especially for brand owners that have been running ads for a long time, probably realize cost of advertising cost is going to go up, right? It's just normal, right? Everybody's going to go up, especially when like brands like Gymshark, brands like Saga, Comfort are spending, $3 million in ads, right? And they're going to double it or something like that, right? In a month. Then obviously the whole game and the whole CPM rises for all of us, okay? So I'm going to go into offers, but really just talk about from our scale, okay? So offer definition, from a dictionary, an offer is basically the complete value proposition that's presented to a potential customer, right? The combination of product, price, the positioning of the brand, and the perceived benefit that motivates someone to buy now rather than later. That's what it is, right? Because your offer shouldn't do the selling from the start. That's your content, your product, and your middle funnel, top funnel. Offer, all it is for is basically just that last push at the end, right? Now think of it this way, right? You have so many brands doing offers, and you're the only brand that's not doing any offers, right? That, doesn't motivate them to buy from your brand, right? And that's the whole point of offers. And offer is king. I don't know if you guys know who this is. This is Alex Hormozi. I listen to him a lot from personal advice and everything. But with offers, it's like the most important thing when it comes to everything. Like people, I'm going to go into this later as well, but people say it's corny, cheap, whatever it is. But every big brand runs an offer, okay? Offer is more important than your ad account structure, your organic marketing.
Can you let Khalifa in, please?
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you go, bro. I don't see Khalifa in here, bro. I see. Tell how you doing, Khalifa.
Good man, Hungus.
Khalifa.
I just missed.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Anyways, yeah. Offer is everything. Okay. The wrong outlook. The word offer sort of carries sort of like I think some of the people I talk to you as well do agree with this, carries sort of like a negative connotation. Like many small brands believe running offers will cheapen their image, or discounting or structuring somehow undermines brand value, right? This is what I personally think, and many of the big brand owners think this is a huge misconception. And you gotta realize, like Lululemon, Nike, Gymshark, even like the designer brands, right? Louis Vuitton, Chanel, they all run offers. It's just that we're not seeing it, right? Like you have to understand, an offer is something that is sort of perceived, not something that is established, right? Again, it's not just a discount, okay? Discount is literally what it is. It's just lowering the effort or sacrifice for somebody to take an action. So that's literally just one part of an offer. Okay, so price, bundles, buy one get one free. These are just all levers to just decrease the sacrifice that they have to pay. Right? Again, there's one little piece of an offer. Right? Thing I want you to understand, really like understand, like obviously, we target our ICP pain points, etc. But the reason why people buy anything, not just clothes, anything we spend our money on, is to get value, right? I think I see actually here. Cool. Like some sort of deal that they believe that what they're receiving is greater than what they're giving up, right? So that's the value, right? If they feel as though when they buy your product, the value that they get is greater than what they're giving up. In this case, is the money aspect, right? The price, then they're going to buy. And that's what value is really about, right? People make decisions on two things, especially in this clothing brand game. Value of the product, right? What type of problems would it solve, right? And number two is the price and what they actually have to sacrifice to get to that value, right? The challenge is if we only think about discounts, right? If price is the only thing that we look at and we have to keep lowering a price in order to increase value, then we'll be in a position where we'll sort of be like unprofitable. Because imagine it's like every single brand, right, has 20% off, 20% off, then it all evens it out, right? And then this brand goes 30%. This brand has a leverage, then the other brands go 30%. Like no one makes money, right? So we can't just compete, especially like when we're first starting out, on just offering discounts, because our perceived value as a whole as a brand can't compete that way. Okay. Instead of sort of being in the position where you're decreasing price to increase value, right? Think about how do we focus on sort of other levers inside of an offer, right? To increase the value of the product, right? And some of you guys may know this, like, this isn't just for clothing brands. This is what Alex talks about as well. And I actually believe this can be, in every single industry. And this is what I like to call the value equation. I use this in my own business, and the big brands, Keelan uses this in his business. We talked about this. This is the only formula you need to know to understand and how to create value in your niche. And there's 4 equations which I'm going to go to. Okay, so there's a dream outcome multiplied by the perceived likelihood of achievement. So basically meaning how likely are they likely to achieve the dream outcome, right? So this part of the equation we're trying to increase, and this bottom half of the equation we're trying to decrease. So the time delay and the effort and sacrifice, right? So dream outcome, right? Not just the features of the product, but the experience and the feeling, right? For example, I chose the hardest niche because streetwear clothes, if you look at it, you think people buy just because the clothes look cool, right? That's not the case, right? For example, if we're selling a streetwear clothes, people might care about status, right? They have a desire to feel cool in public and want that status feeling, right? We want to speak to that for our dream outcome, right? So for this example here, where it's streetwear clothes and people only care about status, our dream outcome is not, hey, our clothes are high quality, has this cool color, right? It's not. For this ICP, they don't buy based on features. They buy based on how they feel. So that is not the dream outcome, right? So when we talk about based on how they feel, what product, like how your product is associated into things, have a better connotation than just, oh, this zip is, this color, right? Like we're not trying to sell from that features point, right? Like you really need to step into the shoes of your customer, because dream outcome is not the product. It is a problem that the product solves and how it makes them feel. So when we go back to this equation, right, we need to get real clear on what your product actually does. Okay, so for example, I use this example a lot. Like if we're just selling gym gear, it's not, our dream outcome isn't just, it's breathable material, right? It's not, right? Our dream outcome is people who sweat a lot, right? And if you wear our products, you don't sweat at all. For example, if that's a big problem in their life in this industry, right? So that's the dream outcome. We don't want to sell them on the features. You want to sell them on the actual outcome. Okay, that's super important to understand. Cool. Now, details of equation of perceived likeliness of achievement, okay? Again, like how certain is it that they are actually going to experience the dream outcome if they use your product, right? It's this simple. If they understand that your product can solve, can get to the dream outcome and they're 100% certain that it will, then they're going to buy, right? For example, right? If you guys want a six pack, for example, or lose 30 pounds, for example, and I'm selling this product that if you drink this protein powder every day, you're going to lose 30 pounds in a month. And it has you've seen testimonials, you've seen, other people working, like, okay, the perceived likeliness of them getting their dream outcome is the same, right? So as a brand owner, your only goal is to increase how likelihood of them actually getting the product and achieving their dream outcome, right? So I'm going to go into this later in the call, but you sort of see what we're doing here. So dream outcome, clear ICP, perceived likeliness, reviews, testimonials, and sort of building up to that outcome, right? Now, time delay, this one's pretty simple. Like if you can compress the time someone can get to the dream outcome, then your value goes up, your offer goes up, right? Like personally, and all of my friends, all the people I know, like receiving a product in 2 weeks compared to a product in like 3 days is a complete game changer, right? It's like when I'm shopping, like for example, if I'm trying to buy clothes online or whatever product, and I really like the product, but I see it takes 2 to 3 weeks to come, like I'm not buying it, right? like I'm not buying it, right? It's like for me, I want that instant sort of dopamine hit. Like soon as I buy it, I want it soon, come to me straight away almost, right? So time delay, and not many people talk about this in the office, right? Is a huge thing, right? It's like this is why it's like even if we do have like a massive sale or massive discount, it's like putting in like on your static creatives, like, hey, ships within 1 to 2 days is massive, right? And putting in our copy, putting it in our website, etc., is massive, right? Especially, I think this is an underrated part, is to add this into add to cart, right? Directly under your add to cart, put it in your product page. That is like a huge game changer. Now, efforts plus sacrifice. So what does a customer have to give up in order to achieve the dream outcome, right? If you add a discount, for example, you only speak to this aspect of this equation. This is the problem, right? Because people are so focused on this, price is only one part of it. But obviously, effort and sacrifice, discounts, right? Pricing, bundles, again, if we go back to the value equation, some sort of deal that they believe what they're receiving is greater than what they're actually giving up. So if we make the giving up less as possible and you feel like we're giving them so much value, which is your product because you're helping them get to the dream outcome, then you've won, right? You've won the value equation. So sort of going back to this, increasing these two, decreasing these two, so simple, right? Now, how to increase the perceived likeliness of achievement. I'm not going to talk about how to increase the dream outcome because it's not really about increasing your dream outcome. It's more about establishing what is the actual dream outcome of your brand. Because some people, and when they run the brand and everything, they're still so unclear about this, right? But we need to know what we're selling. It's like, for example, again, like I still keep going to this product, right? Let's just say I have a protein shake that maybe is for this people, maybe it does this people. No, if you have a protein shake that makes you lose 30 pounds, that's the clear dream outcome. And we have a clear definition of what we're actually trying to sell. So we're not going to go into how to increase dream outcome because it's more about you guys obviously knowing and establishing what a dream outcome even is, right? But how to increase perceived likelihoodness of achievement. So there's a couple of things, right? Success stories, user-generated content, especially for a women's brand. UGC is probably the best because, like, if you look at Comfort is a women's brand. Like all of the ads they're running, like just because they have a huge marketing budget, it's all UGC content, right? Because it builds trust. People, especially women, like to see other women wear the product that they want, right? Number 3 is video testimonials or testimonials through unboxing, right? Reviews, product and customer experience, especially as soon as they get the product, right? Product in action, this one is super underrated, right? So for example, if you are sort of one of your main features, right, and one of your main sort of dream outcome is sort of, I guess, let's just say comfort, right? Something to do with quality, then you want to see your product in action. But most importantly, like, what is it quality for? Is it for playing golf, right? Is it for, is it for swimming? Then obviously you want to see the product in action before you go buy, right? Just because this is, let's just say I'm selling a swim cap, just because we have a swim cap in, a studio picture and it looks nice, that's not, going to increase any perceived likeliness. Yes, it looks professional, good job, but people want to see that product utility in action, right? Product fit, reaction, and this is another one, reaction of someone getting dream outcome, right? So again, if you're selling like a swim cap, right? And that's, I'm not even going to use swimming. Let's just go to gym, okay? Let's go back to the gym example, right? If we're selling gym clothes that fit perfectly, for example, for small people, and that's the dream outcome that we solve, because small people don't, can't find good fitting clothes, right? Getting reactions of it, right, of getting that dream outcome, their reviews, is huge, right? Especially in organic. I even recommend, even if you have that type of content, even putting on your product page, right? Or perceived likeliness of achievement, right? Sizing, style guide, this is so important as well, right? Because we sell clothes, right? And people like to buy clothes that fit them. And if they're unsure if they'll fit them, right? If there's even that slight doubt, if they can't find your sizing guide, if they don't have your sizes, or the sizes, whatever it is, right? You don't have like a DM me if you, whatever it is, right? That support, customer support in terms of sizing, then again, you're going to get a sales objection, right? Because they don't think, they'll fit your product, right? They can't find your style guide to make sure it fits your product, right? Another sort of cherry on the cake is additional support resources, right? Tutorials on how to, use your product, customer service, hotline, Instagram DMs open. Another thing is sort of like I've seen some brands have like an expectation of what you're going to get as soon as you receive the product, right? So they know what they're getting as soon as they buy, right? The question you have to ask yourself is, how many do you have, right, across your brand, right? And do you showcase them throughout your buyer's journey everywhere, right? Just because you have testimonials on your product page, right? Do you showcase that throughout your content as well, right? Just because you have a size guide on your website product page, this little button, right? Do you showcase that on sort of, I guess, your reels, your stories, etc., right? We want to showcase that, all of this, right, isn't a problem when they're buying, okay? Cool. Let's see. Okay, cool. All good for now? No questions? Cool. Okay. Okay. How to decrease time delay, right? This is probably one of my favorite things, because I personally relate to this. I hate waiting for shit, right? When I buy shit online where I can't feel the product, I haven't seen the product physically, I want it straight away, right? And that's the truth, right? So time delay. Offer Shop Pay or other checkout options, they hate having to fill in info. It speeds up the buying process. Like, again, like if I have to, go get my card and put the details, like sometimes like that even stops me from buying. Number two is ship faster. Simple, right? If you don't have the product in hand, it's also a good idea to get your product in hand so you can ship it faster. Have the option to do express shipping, right? So they have the option to pay an extra $5 or $10 to have express shipping, because personally I choose that every single time, right? Just so I can get the product faster, right? If you don't want to give them the option for some reason, just add that into your product price and just do a free shipping, like that fast shipping, express shipping for every single product. If that's the case, then you can advertise that, right? And number three is, this is something interesting. And I learned this recently from one of my big brands, is they give customers something that they can have instantly, right? Like give them instant gratification before the product even arrives, right? And this is pretty unique. I haven't seen many brands do this, but like I was going through stuff and I've seen some of the brands actually do this, especially with the community section. And I thought this was pretty smart because like the example I've given you before, right? Where I just want something straight away as soon as I purchase a product online, right? Because again, I can't see it, I can't feel it, or I can't wear it, right? So giving them instant gratification before the product arrives. And what I saw was they basically sent out a video. So I basically ordered this like online sort of, it's like this tool, like a drilling tool for the housework, and they send me a video through email straight away, right? Letting me join to the community of other workers, right? But also sending me a video saying appreciate it and actually giving me a video tutorial on what to expect when the actual product arrives and how to use the product, which I thought was pretty cool. So it's an instant gratification, but also ensuring me when the product will arrive as well. So I knew before I purchased this product when I was actually gonna get the product. So 3 to 4 days, right? Soon as I bought the product, it gave me an email of everything, the community, help support line, if there's any question with the product, and a whole video tutorial and modules on how to actually use the product to its best, right? Number 3, before I even bought the product, I knew it was going to work because there were so many different video tutorials on how this product used, showing the product utility and how it's meant to be used, right? So sort of using that as an example, right? How to decrease time delay. I think this is huge and underrated. And how to decrease effort and sacrifice. So, I mean, especially in the e-com world, this is going to be discounts, all right? So that's one part of the equation, okay? Discounts. So dollar off, percentage off, buy X, get Y, afford payment plans as an option, Clover, Zelle, Afterpay. Like you need to test different offers inside your brand, okay? Like, okay, the word testing, right? Right? Because what offer resonates with a gym people doesn't also resonate with streetwear people, right? Because again, going back to the value, they need to feel as though they're getting more than what they've sacrificed, okay? So these are the 4 main offers. So dollars off, for example, $20 off, 10% off, 20% off that, buy this product, get Y, and of course, afford payment as option, okay? Now you sort of understand, I guess, the basic offers, right? And I really want to get quickly into sort of the implementation specifically for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, okay? Okay, things you need to understand, okay? As a brand owner, our offer and ads should be built around our CPM, right? So if you guys don't know what a CPM is, you should. It's basically cost per 1,000 impressions, right? So basically, an easy way of saying sort of like our advertising cost at that time, okay? CPM fluctuation during Black Friday, Cyber Monday is normal, right? CPM during Black Friday, Monday is the highest. Advertising cost is insanely expensive. Why? Because there's so much more competition around this time. Why? Because people have the wallet out and brands have the offers out, okay? So that's it. That is literally the only reason why CPM is high, right? And how e-com cycle usually works, so it basically goes up in November and then decreases in December and goes down really, really low in January, right? And that's the typical e-com cycle. And then it starts to go up and that like January, February, like CPM is the absolutely cheapest, but people don't like to spend money in that time. So sales also go down slightly, right? So then and there, right? Cool. So what does this actually mean, right? We need to make sure we balance the raise in CPM with a higher conversion rate. That's it, right? Because think about it, right? If we're spending $100 to get 100 people, for example, and let's just say we usually convert on 2 people, right? During Black Friday, Cyber Monday, to get those 100 people on our site, it's going to cost higher. Meaning if we still convert on 2 people, we're going to get less profit, right? So our conversion rate in terms of if someone enters our website, it needs to be higher, right? So building out an offer where we can just push them on the edge. Because again, as I told you from the very start of this presentation, offers is literally not getting them to buy, but just pushing them slightly over the edge to buy, right? That's all it is, right? So building a proper audience before we launch Black Friday, Cyber Monday, okay? And this is sort of the strat. Pluto Golf, Flower, okay, Brimmer, so like pretty big brands that we use. Starts around, obviously, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It starts around 24th of November to 1st of December, right? From mid-October to early November, you really need to go heavy on building a community, followers, getting many followers as you can to your Instagram page, because those become retargetable. Number 3 is build up that engagement on every single post, build interest, and email and SMS list. Okay, and I'm going to go more into the specific offers of Black Friday Cyber Monday. And the main thing I want you to understand is simple, right? Like as soon as someone looks at your creative for a second, they need to understand what you're actually offering. Because if your offer is too complicated, then you're just cooked, right? So do not overcomplicate this, right? That's the biggest downfall, right? If people don't understand your offer, it is worse than having a bad offer, right? So the SOP for the offers, and this sort of is probably my favorite way, right? Two main things. So there's a site-wide discount, site-wide, okay, and a tier and volume discount you can go through. And there are like benefits and disadvantages for both, which I'll sort of go into, okay? Site-wide discount, for example, 70% off site-wide or up to 70% off. And obviously for some people that I talk to here, I told you guys to leverage your worst selling products. For example, if you have 10 products and you have this one product that just doesn't sell at all, right? It's okay to break even on it, right? Put that as 50% off so we can have a whole site where it's up to 50% off, right? So leveraging a worst selling product so we can push out your best selling, and your best selling product can be like 20, 30% off, right? It's still up to 50% off site wide, right? Same thing, right? The second one is the tier and volume discount. The only downfall with this is sort of going back to this, right? Sometimes it can be complicated for someone to understand like this. But basically how tier and volume discount works is for example, you spend $50, 20% off. You spend $100, get 25% off. Simple, right? The downside of the site-wide discount is think average order value, right? Site-wide discounts might decrease average order value, meaning return of ad spend will drop, right? While as volume, right, tier and volume discounts boost, average order value goes up, right? It's that simple. So the biggest thing that you guys need to watch out, especially when you guys make offers or whatever it is, right, for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, is to really watch out for the average order value, right? Because for example, if we spend $20 and then we get, for example, let's just say we spend $25 and then we had a $50 product that we're selling for. So if we spend $25, we get 50, that's a 2x ROAS, right? But then we sold the same one product, but it was 50% off, then we're just at break-even ROAS, right? So we need to double the sale. So with a site-wide discount, we also need double the volume, right, to match what we had before, right? So that's the only downside of it, okay? Oh, and last thing is sort of last end of sale, urgency and push, extra discount, extra gift, etc., etc. Okay, I'm going to go into this at the end of the call. Create a volume. So I mentioned this to you a lot. Like this is key, especially for Black Friday or Monday when everybody's going to be when everybody is in shopping mood and everybody has their wallet out. People are going to scroll. People are going to see a lot of similar creatives, right? Especially your audience and the already built community you guys have, right? They're gonna see a lot of the same ad, and the thing is, we don't want to burn them, right? So main thing is having variety and having new concepts ready for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Okay, that's the main thing with offers. After Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so what Flower did is you need to sort of thank your audience as this is some sort of event for your brand, right? most importantly, like making them sort of feel part of that community, right? Reach video ads, found a message. Like if you guys have like a personal brand through Instagram, or they know you as your owner, like a found a message, and re-engagement if you miss Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So going back to this, so that last end of sale, urgency, push, extra discount, extra gift, like saying, hey, Black Friday, Cyber Monday ended, but sort of last 48 hour, and then pushing out more stuff. That's what some brands do, and it works. Okay. So sort of key actions if you want to sort of, I guess, summarize everything, right? Launch primary offer and 2 to 4 flash sales throughout the weekend, right? Use urgency and simplicity messaging, right? Today only, ends in XYZ, right? Usually try and keep it between the hours so you have that more of that urgency. Flood all channels with tailored offer focused creatives. Okay, if you're running any other ads that are not offers during this time and you have an offer, turn it off, because the only ad creative that we want to run in your ad account obviously is something to do with the offer, because there's no point pushing out your other creatives if it's not offer, because that has a best value. Okay, we want to adjust budgets dynamically, obviously based on profit. So this basically means instead of looking at like a 3 to 4 day performance base, we want to look at your ad account every single day, especially this period. Okay. Maintain evergreen ads, like don't pause them and just sort of add Black Friday, Cyber Monday overlays to them. Okay. Cool. You can audience target them as well. The interesting thing is, but I would really just stick to broad. Broad is everything. Okay. But yeah, that's basically the main thing. Did anybody have questions here?
Yeah, I have a question. So, for people who purchased products before the sale season, how do we handle that in terms of like they bought something full price and then a week later they see like discounts on the website and stuff?
Like, how do we handle it?
Yeah, like because they purchased full price and now there's like discounts and stuff. Like, how do we not bruise our audience by having discounts after they bought the item full price?
I mean, that's unlucky on them.
Yeah, I'll answer that, to be honest. It's really not that big of a deal, to be honest. Like it's because like I've said, I'm about to release a collection next week, and then we're gonna do Black Friday 2 weeks after. It's really just like how bad the person wants the item, and if they get on time and if they like it, it's not gonna be a problem to them. Like last year, I didn't have any problem with like a customer DMing me during Black Friday and saying, "Oh, I bought this item 2 weeks ago. Can I get money off?" That never happened.
Yeah, bad luck on them,
Mhm.
right? Because with offers, bro, it's not something where it's like we have to let them know that it's happening, right? What about flash sales, right? So it's like kind of unlucky, but it's not going to be a problem, bro. I've never seen that as like an actual problem. And people should know it is Black Friday, Cyber Monday, right? Everybody knows everybody's having offers, right? So if somebody buys from your brand where it's like, without thinking that, then yeah, it's kind of on them. To answer your question, bro.
Sounds good, yeah.